Hey, great. James is our current printer in residence who is using our bibliographical press, and in fact, you can see some things on the table here that are part of his project, and some of what he's doing will appear in an exhibition on birds coming up. Almost everything else on this table is from James's collection and not ours. We're clearly not trying hard enough, and I'm sure you're not trying to tempt us by laying all these things out, but who knows, because we are incredibly active and passionate collectors of artists' books, and I think in this sort of miasma of the digital age, these are things that really appeal to researchers and particularly to students who adore their technical proficiency, their beauty, and often their intellectual rigor. James, there is one book you have been working on for a long time, which is explosive, interactive, and wonderful. I've seen a demo. When it comes to exist for us, so when are we going to be able to get our hands on it? It is this. It does something special when it's finished.
Thank you very much, Chris. So I've only got 10 minutes, so I have only put out enough to speak for 10 minutes, so I'm sure that's fine. I thought I'd talk about just two of the books that the Bodleian do have in their collection. They're missing probably 99% of everything else, but that's fine. So one of the books that the Bodleian have is called An Albion in the Antarctic. And I'll show you what it looks like. This is the Bodleian copy, so I've got to handle it very carefully. So it's the story of Ernest Shackleton in 1907 taking an Albion press, which for those that don't know look a bit like that, to the Antarctic to make a book out there. And did we have a copy of the book? I can't remember. Oh, sorry. Where is it? Sorry. No, the actual Aurora Australis. No, we didn't have. Sorry. So the Bodleian do have a copy of the book that was made by Shackleton out in Antarctica, or Shackleton's men, really. But I was fascinated by the story of an Albion press being taken to such harsh conditions to make a book. So being an Albion press printer myself, I thought I wanted to research and write the full story, especially from a printer's point of view, of the press, how it got out there, how the books were made, what happened when they came back, and all that sort of thing. So I researched and wrote this full story about an Albion, so an Albion press or an English expedition in the Antarctic. And funnily enough, actually, I remember I tried to emulate as much as I could of the sort of Antarctic experience and the book that was being made itself. So the whole book is sort of set in handset type and in the same foundry face that the expedition themselves used. And within here, I have sort of specimen page paper from the actual, from the book itself that was used with a watermark. And actually, I remember when I was making this book, I did it in the press room I was in at the time was a sort of metal shell, and it was almost like a sort of container unit because it was so many years ago now. And I was making the book in the real heart of winter in England, and I remember I didn't have any heating in the room. It was proper just metal sheets that were the walls to the room. So I kept having, every time I would pull a print, because it was all done on an Albion press, I had to sort of go over to the one little portable heater I had and warm my hands up, and then go back and pull a print, and then go back and warm my hands. So it was about as far as close to Antarctica as I'd like to get, really. Another book that I've done that the Bodleian have is George Orwell's 1984. So there's some sort of images from it. So it's quite a large book. It took a few years to make. It features 24 large-scale posters on 24 different handmade papers from sort of the 1850s up to present. And actually, it was quite hard to source all those handmade papers. And if I tried to do it again, I don't think I could. But the illustrations, there's 24 of them, and all of them either sort of illustrate something going on in the events of the book, or they're the equivalent of a poster that may have existed within the world of 1984. So this is a prime example, which is a sort of movie poster for Triumph of Command, all about Comrade Ogilvy. But I wanted with every poster to sort of have many layers to the meaning behind it. So it wasn't just supposed to be a sort of aesthetically interesting poster. It was also supposed to tell a story as well. So, for instance, on this one, At the Flicks is obviously a reference to movies used in the book itself. Triumph of Command is a reference to Triumph of the Will, which is a sort of Nazi propaganda film. This poster is all about a biopic of Comrade Ogilvy, who in the book itself is a made-up character. It's a sort of poster child for 1984, the party. And so this figure here is actually based on a Chinese government propaganda character called Lei Feng, who, for those, this is what I've been told anyway, those growing up in China for a period were told that this individual who was in the army, who was, the total sort of hero of the Chinese party, really did exist, but actually he's just a fictional character, just like Ogilvy is. So this image here is based on an actual image of Lei Feng. But actually there's the president of Russia's face there, and there's an image from Ukraine here. So it's various layers to the whole book. And actually I had to write an essay that's here that I can talk about that goes into all of the different illustrations and all the meanings behind it. So those are two of the books the Bodleian have. I think I'm on time. The next book that I'm currently working on has some sort of page spreads here. It's a lot of colour work going on, and it's called The Beauty of Bern. A bit like Albion and the Antarctic. I quite like alliteration. So it's all about, the book itself is about what makes a book beautiful. When you look at a book, what is the parts of a book that you actually find attractive? And this book that I'm writing about is all based on this book here, which is Bodleian's copy, which is Euclid's Elements. And it was done in 1847 by Pickering and a man called Oliver Byrne, who designed it. And every page is basically full of a sort of riot of colour. And it was a disaster when it was made. It was a total, financial flop. But in time, it's been given the moniker of being, one of the most beautiful books that there is. And so I wanted to sort of have a study of what makes a book beautiful, but seen through the lens of this book. So it's a bit like Albion and the Antarctic, which talks about a single book, in this case this one, but it goes a bit further because it actually starts to analyse, well, why is this book considered the most beautiful thing? What is it about colours and geometric shapes and so on? So it's a bit of bibliography mixed with a sort of treatise on, what is the bit beautiful? And because all this is two-dimensional, I wanted for the special edition to sort of start to turn it into something more three-dimensional. So there are 2 volumes to the special edition, and one of them features various pop-ups done by a well-known Japanese pop-up artist, which feature sort of elements from the book itself. And the other one is a binding by a man called Graham Patton in America. And it's supposed to sort of give the idea that you start with this two-dimensional, object, but then when you look at it closer, you can sort of turn it into something three-dimensional. Perfect reaction. You'll be paid later, so it's perfect. So yes, so it sort of turns it. It's a metaphor for what's going on inside. Really, is to look at something in a two-dimensional way and then actually analyse it more by taking it all apart and looking at it afresh. So that was the reasoning behind that. My next project after that is going to be an edition of Milton's Paradise Lost, which I'm very much emulating this Cranach Press Hamlet book, both in illustration and design and so on. So that's a future project coming up after this one's finished, but because of the colour work, it takes a lot of time. And I think I'll probably leave it there.
So this is the prototype.
That's just a dummy copy, yeah.
And we will get the real thing when it's finished. So you will all, I promise, be able to come along and carefully play with it. So, and also actually Euclid, one of our other printers in residence was Russell Marriott, and Euclid's a great fascination for him.
Absolutely, yeah.
Yeah, wonderful. Anyway, I think that deserves another round of applause before you all come and have a photo.
Do you ask anything about the rest of the books, and also there's a couple of postcards there. By all means, take one or two or however many.
Could you say something about the bird?
Oh, the bird. Yes. So as Chris mentioned, the Printer in Residence program that I'm a part of, which brought me here today. I'm currently doing 2 books for the residency program. One is a sort of use of the Greek type, which the print room have here, which isn't that common to have in a print room. You usually have English type, you don't often have sort of foreign types like Greek, or especially Foundry Greek. So I'm just doing some opening to Homer's Odyssey, the Invocation of the Muse element, the first 10 lines, in Greek type, in a nice little sort of handmade book. And the other one relates to the exhibition that's coming up this summer, is it? In May, I think it might be. And it's all about vagrant birds. And I'm trying to involve with the workshops that we're doing as many of the people who come to the workshops in the making of the book. So they're setting the type that goes in it. The illustration here was done by Alice Hackney from the Ruskin, based on this Edmund Spencer Cresset Press illustration. And it's supposed to be a sort of book about vagrant birds, if anyone knows the term, but also a birdwatcher's book that you write in. So it all sort of combines with citizen science and birds and so on. So that hopefully will be part of the exhibition coming up when it's finished. Yeah.
Very nice.